Ever since I was a kid, my favorite Disney Channel show has been Sunny with a Chance. And because of the show's unexpected ending, it's forgotten at times. But don't worry, I'm going to give it the respect it deserves. Today's video is my argument on why Sunny with a Chance is one of the best shows aired on Disney Channel. Disney Channel had never really had a show about sketch comedy before Sunny with a Chance. The show was created by Steve Marble, who had worked on shows like Johnny Bravo, Danny Phantom, and The Fairly Odd Parents. Brian Robbins was an executive producer who was the co-creator of the Nickelodeon comedy show, you might have heard of it, All That. The show was inspired by 30 Rock. Whenever I think about Sunny, I see similarities with Nickelodeon's The Amanda Show, starring Amanda Bynes. Before I go into Sunny, I'm going to talk a little bit about Amanda Bynes' career on The Amanda Show and All That. If you've seen Amanda's comedic performances, particularly in these two shows, she has impressive comedic timing for a child her age. In All That, she joins the cast at 10 years old, a preteen among teenagers. All That was a sketch comedy show on Nickelodeon, and it spawned multiple spin-offs, including Amanda's The Amanda Show. Her most notable sketch in All That was one where she read letters called Ask Ashley, and yelled at the authors of the letters for being dumb. This sketch kind of reminds me of Sicky Vicky. Sicky Vicky gives advice to kids when they're sick, similar to how Ashley gives advice while screaming. Amanda, like Keenan and Kel, ended up getting a spin-off focused on her. When she moved to The Amanda Show, she's the star, included in every sketch, and her star power isn't ignored. You can't help but smile when she opens the show with a quirky opening like,
"My name's Amanda, and I have no use for the metric system!"
Without going too much into the show itself, the thing that stands out about The Amanda Show that's important in regards to Sunny is having a star with a comedic ability be marketed as the star of the show. Like Amanda, Demi's comedic ability was on display in every episode. And without Amanda/Demi, what is the show? Amanda and Demi had a likability that made the audience root for them. Some sketches from The Amanda Show that are similar to ones we see on Sunny are Judge Trudy and Moody's Point. With Judge Trudy, the sketch has the judge rule almost always in favor of the kid, who is suing an adult regardless if the kid is in the wrong. Sally Jensen, kid lawyer, has her objective be to fight for kids. Moody's Point is a parody of Dawson's Creek, which was pitched to Nickelodeon to be its own show. Mackenzie Falls is also a parody of Dawson's Creek. Unrelated, but one of the Moody's Point's characters has this recurring line, "What's that supposed to mean?" which is a line that Cat Valentine from Victoria says.
Dries. What's that supposed to mean? Okay, bye.
No, you don't.
What's that supposed to mean?
Therefore, if any Disney star shares similarities with Amanda Bynes, it would be Demi Lovato. Sunny with a Chance was a show within a show, navigating the life on a sketch comedy show while competing with their rival, Mackenzie Falls. Demi Lovato, the show's lead, was becoming a star, with appearing on As the Bell Rings and Camp Rock. Bridget Mendler had also auditioned for the role of Sunny Monroe. An interesting fun fact related to Sunny was that Brandon Michael Smith, who played Nico, was cast in the early iteration of the Wizard of Waverly Place pilot, titled at the time The Amazing O'Malleys. He played Justin's best friend. Brandon was also a part of another unaired pilot, the US's version of a Disney Channel show originating in the UK, Bus Life. Other cast members were Tiffany Thornton, Sterling Knight, Doug Brochu, and Allison Ashley Snyder, then Arm. Like any Disney show, Sunny went through multiple names in development with Sketchpad, Welcome to Mollywood, and Welcome to Hollywood. Regarding the premise of Sketchpad, it was about a sketch comedy show that revolves around Tawny. Sterling Knight auditioned for a character named Stuart, and he was a part of the sketch comedy show. Tawny's character had a crush on Stuart, and when Jenny is cast, it creates a love triangle. This is different than what eventually becomes Sunny with a Chance, having Sunny be the new girl on her favorite sketch comedy show, So Random. Her other cast members on the sketch comedy show are Tawny, who is not pleased with her rival, Grady, Nico, and Zora. Chadlin Cooper works on another show, Mackenzie Falls, that's on the same lot, and butts heads with Sunny. Speaking of Mackenzie Falls, other than it being parodied on So Random, called Mackenzie Stalls, minisodes were released on their website. The concept has Mackenzie fight with his half-brother over control of the falls. Mackenzie is also in a love triangle with two girls, Chloe and Penelope. Chloe is a new girl that moves into town who's poor, and Penelope is upset because she loves Mackenzie and all that. The finale felt like a Moody's Point episode. and Penelope is annoyed because she loves Mackenzie and sees the growing connection between Chloe and Mackenzie. The finale has Mackenzie and the villain Fence. as the villain has kidnapped Chloe, threatening to turn the water yellow. The big twist has Mackenzie find out the person that he's fighting is his evil twin brother.
Mackenzie!
You lose again, Devin.
Devin? You think I'm your half-brother? Ha! I'm your whole brother.
I have an evil twin. I never knew. And I always knew.
Now, let's get into season 1. Just a heads up, I'm not going to talk about every episode. Let's begin with the pilot. The first sketch we ever see in the show is Dolphin Boy, where he blows his top when he becomes nervous, which then cuts to Sonny packing for Los Angeles because she's moving to become a cast member on her favorite sketch comedy show. To quickly recap the episode, Tawny and Sonny aren't getting along as Tawny wants to be the star on this sketch comedy show. Tensions rise as Sonny changes Tawny's Queen Bee sketch, and the episode follows Sonny trying to make peace with Tawny. Tawny refuses to be in the sketch, and Sonny thinks of a new one. The episode concludes with a Bad Bee sketch, which is just Sonny rapping and talking about her struggles about being the new worker bee on the block. The first episode does a good job establishing the dynamics on the sketch comedy show, with Tawny not liking Sonny, Nico and Grady the goofy co-stars, and Zora the eccentric preteen. One notable thing in the pilot is that there's a hint at a possible romance between Sonny and Nico, which might seem crazy, but there are promos that back this up. This promo, airing in Japan, hints at a love triangle between Sonny, Nico, and Chad. The second episode, West Coast Story, a play on West Side Story, is the introduction to Chad Dillon Cooper, Sonny's eventual love interest from their rival television show. The first 2 episodes of Sonny with a Chance aired back to back. The episode opens with the Fasties fast food sketch, which is commenting on when is food too fast. Chad Dillon Cooper is a hilarious character, one of the best male characters on Disney. Chad Dillon Cooper is a play on Chad Michael Murray, the star on the hit TV show One Tree Hill. This episode introduces the conflict between the two shows, So Random and Mackenzie Falls, with one being a sketch comedy show and the other a teen drama. Television dramas are seen as serious acting compared to comedic acting. The first time Sonny and Chad interact, he steals her yogurt in exchange for his autograph. Sonny learns about the feud when Chad has an interview where he gloats about beating So Random at the Tween Choice Awards, making the Random steal Mackenzie Falls' parking spot and Tween Choice Award. Sonny plans a peace picnic which backfires, embarrassing Grady and Sonny in the process. Sonny goes to confront Chad on Mackenzie Falls and falls under his trance with the dialogue feeling right from a television show, the changing backgrounds and music playing. Notice how Sonny and Chad are both wearing ties. Sonny and Chad agree to play musical chairs to call a truce and get the stuff they want back. Sonny beats Chad in musical chairs, at his own game so to speak, through faking an injury, and he respects it. The fourth wall is broken early in the show as Chad looks into the camera at the end of Mackenzie Falls, saying,
So Random's on. It's my favorite show.
Keeping up his end of the deal with losing musical chairs. Sonny at the Falls is about Sonny becoming one of them, aka Mackenzie Falls, after the Randoms aren't respecting her. When Sonny's on the Mackenzie Falls set, there is a sharp contrast with them living lavishly. This gives us a taste at the blatant favoritism of Mackenzie Falls. The people around Chad Dillon Cooper, like their roles in Mackenzie Falls, are no more than people in the background, known by their TV show names. This episode introduces the running joke of Chad Dillon Cooper / Zac Efron's beef. There's 2 layers. 1, obviously with young stars, you're competing with one another for the same roles and popularity among fans. So Chad Dillon Cooper having this beef with Zac Efron makes sense because that was his so-called peer. The other layer is the real tension between Sterling Knight and Zac Efron.
What about your buddy Zac Efron? Are you guys friends still, or?
We're very good friends, and we weren't
originally. It's
What happened there? Was it competition or?
I mean, I was a a struggling young actor, and I had auditioned for High School Musical and this movie Derby Stallion that he had done, and I was really frustrated. It was like, this kid Zac Efron, like, curse him.
He keeps getting everything, right?
Exactly. He's booking everything I'm auditioning for. So this is a very long-winded story. I'll keep it brief, but this one day I was just so frustrated. I'm going to go play a round of golf and clear my head, and my truck is blocked in by this film crew. And who do you know it? It's Zac Efron.
No.
No, not only is it Zac Efron that's blocking in this entire parking lot that I'm in, he's in the back of my truck digging through. And he's looking for his hacky sack, and I just start screaming obscenities. And I'm sure if my mom had heard what I had said, I would have a very nice red mark right here.
Yes.
So I screamed at him, and then I guess almost a year later, I booked 17 again, and we started getting to know each other, and I ended up telling him, I was like, I met you before this. He's like, really? When? And I was like, you don't remember. It was a long time ago. I may have told you to, get out of my truck, and a couple other expletives in there. And he immediately remembered. He's like, that was you?
Wow.
That affected me. You were so mean. And I was like, sorry. But we're actually really good friends now.
That's nice.
It's just great. I don't know how we came from such a horrible place.
Anyways, this leads to Chad having Zach banned on the set of Mackenzie Falls, along with the randoms. Sonny got fan mail revolves around the cast members getting fan mail, and Sonny hasn't gotten any as Tawny is hiding it. The sketch in this episode was a play on So You Think You Can Dance with So You Think You Can PP Dance, which was pinnacle preteen humor. Sonny writes fan mail to herself, which results in Marshall wanting to fly the person out. Sonny faces a conundrum, as she cannot be on stage meeting her fan and be the fan. This has Chad dress up as her biggest fan to save her from embarrassment, as Tawny has figured out her fan is just her in disguise. This was the first episode where Chad had done something unselfish, and showed that he cares about Sonny. Cheetah Girl has the episode begin with a Check It Out sketch, which this episode has the first example of commercializing a sketch, talking about making movies and lunchboxes. School on set is shown for the first time in this episode and emphasizes how important schoolwork was. With child actors, they spend a certain amount of time at school and can only work a certain amount of hours. In real life, Allison Ashley Snyder wasn't in certain episodes because of her age. The only other minor on the show was Demi. Demi didn't turn 18 until filming for season 2 concluded, so they were having to do school, lead their own show, do promotion for their music, etc. Sonny is failing geometry, and her mom says she can't be on the show unless she passes her test, which results in her cheating. She turns herself in and has to take the test honestly. She passes and she gets to be on the show. Three's Not Company is about Lucy, Sonny's best friend, coming to town and Chad's birthday party. Sonny seems to want to relive her hangouts with Lucy from when they were in Wisconsin, and doesn't accept how things have changed. Pulled Apart is one of my favorite episodes in the entire show, which consists of a blogger, Sharona, writing mean things. This is the episode where Tawny wears a bald cap because of criticism of her hair. Sonny decides to write a sketch making fun of Sharona, calling her the Wicked Witch of the West, and that leads to Sharona retaliating. She sends a message in meat, dead meat, if they show up to the Oh No You Didn't awards. The So Randoms get the last laugh, wearing the same thing as Sharona to the Oh No You Didn't awards, and provide her with the ultimate embarrassment. The realistic thing about this episode is how it wasn't shocking for harmful things to be written about teenagers by adults. It was understandable not only to be curious about what others say about you, but also for Tawny to be affected by it, to symbolically shave her head. Fast Friends has Sonny getting a feature about her, and she blows up on Chad not understanding to play nice with the press, and her image is ruined. Tawny tells Sonny to hold a press conference to address her anger issues, aka the viral video where she yells at Chad Dylan Cooper, and she doesn't. In this episode, she learns to play with the press by even trying to sabotage Chad's feature. She wears the hidden camera hat and gets him saying something unflattering which impresses Chad. He even says how they should hang out sometime. This episode has Sonny be vindictive, deviating from her usual sweet-loving self, almost like Hollywood changes you. Anyways, another episode that plays into the relationship between the media and a young star, and having to play nice with the media. Sonny with the Chance of Dating is another favorite of mine. This episode has Sonny date a guy that is guest starring on Mackenzie Falls, and he turns out to be a serial dater, so Tawny and Sonny make a plan to expose him. Tawny dated James, the serial dater, and understands that his game is not to be broken up with. Tawny and Sonny realize James wants what he can't have, after asking out Tawny when Tawny and Chad ruin his date with Sonny. Tawny and Sonny's plan has Sonny fake date Chad to make James jealous, then break up with him before he can. This is the first episode where we see Tawny begin to care about Sonny. Also, this episode shows how the dating circles in Hollywood must overlap a lot. Sonny and the Studio Brat is an episode about the head of the studio's daughter, Dakota. She's kind of the worst, and there's a funny joke with Dakota saying her dad thinks she's an angel and Zora saying he doesn't have a good sense of direction and points down. Promises, Prom Misses, is an episode where the studio kids hold a prom and avoid being caught by Marshall. Tawny has this line where she mentions how she's been working since she was a baby, so she's never had the sense of normalcy that Sonny at least had for a little bit. It sheds a light on child actors that really have been in front of the camera since they were born. Sonny and Chad dance at the end of the episode, which is really cute. Battle of the Network Stars is the first appearance of another recurring sketch, Gassy. Chad is trying to star and direct his own biopic and is holding auditions for the randoms. Sonny and Chad convince her that she's wrong through arguing. As a result, Selena was the second person that noticed the chemistry between the two in the show. Pranked, a nod to the prank show Punk'd, hosted by Ashton Kutcher, has a prank show be hosted by Chad Dillon Cooper, and leaves the So Randoms paranoid. We have Sonny audition for the equivalent of an MCU role, which is career-defining, and she bombs it thinking it's a prank. The big twist is that Zora is the host of Pranked, and Chad is being pranked. Guess Who's Coming to guest star has Chad coming to host the show, which is perfect, because this is the first episode where someone comes to host So Random. In this episode, he talks about how his co-stars fall in love with him, mentioning Hudgens and Tisdale, which is funny because those are Zach's co-stars in High School Musical. The episode also reveals that Tawny and Chad kissed as kids, and Chad Dillon Cooper is a stage name, which is obvious. Chad and Sonny are supposed to kiss during a sketch, and instead he kisses a pig. If this episode doesn't show how inevitable Chad and Sonny are, I don't know what will. Heart to Heart is the only appearance of Tawny's mother. Tawny's manager has her doing a sketch that is demeaning to her, and in refusing to do it, Tawny fires her mom. The complication of having your mom as a manager is something we hear about with young actors, and it creates a complicated relationship with your parent. In the end, Tawny asks her mom to just be her mom. Sonny in the Middle seems to be a play on the hit television show Malcolm in the Middle, and has Sonny in the middle of a fight between Nico and Grady. The funniest part of the episode, to me, is when Zora is upset and Chad has to read from a script in order to figure out how to approach her and ask her what's wrong. Chad is so far from reality, sometimes he struggles with normal interactions outside of his TV show. Also, the inability to separate himself from Mackenzie is something we see with young actors that play a role that defines their career. We see Chad struggle with this throughout the show's run. The season finale, Sonny So Far, is a masterpiece. Sonny and Tawny are going on their first talk show, Gotcha, with Conrad. The duo is scared because they don't want to reveal information that's personal, which is understandable. Talk show hosts can ask leading questions, invade personal boundaries, and it's hard, especially when you're a young actor, to say no to these things. How many times have we seen talk show hosts ask inappropriate questions, let alone to young stars? The girls decide to prepare backstage, making a pact to have each other's back, which Conrad shows a clip of them making the pact to the audience. Conrad tries to get them to not only talk bad about one another, but also of the other cast members on So Random, which the girls deflect. This episode also hints at someone on Mackenzie Falls not liking Sonny very much, which is foreshadowing a particular episode in season 2. Chad is invited on the show thinking it's because he read a book, but it was a trap. Sonny and Chad go to make a pact and leave Tawny with Conrad. Conrad goes to eavesdrop on their private conversation, and Sonny and Chad seem to be talking about if there's anything romantic between them. Before there's an answer, Tawny takes their remote from Conrad, so what they said is missed. We're left wondering what happened in their convo, but even more importantly, this shows that Tawny has Sonny's back. Tawny didn't want Sonny on the show at first, but by the end of the season, she's definitely beginning to see her as a friend. This season introduces the characters and life on set. So it wasn't a shock when multiple characters have arcs that center on what others are saying about them. Season 2 is the beginning of the end. Walk a Mile in My Pants is the first episode in Season 2, with the cold open beginning with the introduction of Sicky Vicky. This episode has the show lean more into satire. Sonny is having a walkathon for books, while Chad Dillon Cooper, along with Mackenzie Falls, has one that's against books. Sonny has the bright idea to wear Tawny's pants to bring attention to the walkathon. This episode shows the ridiculousness some celebrity activism can be.
A bright sunny day and young Hollywood is giving back and taking away, but they all look fantastic.
In this entire thing, they're more focused on looking good and selling jeans than the cause. They end up in the hospital because of skinny pants syndrome, with the pants cutting off circulation. The two shows sing a song bringing awareness to SPS, as Tawny's fans are wearing her pants and being affected by it. This song is so funny since they started the problem and uptick in SBS with advertising the pants. The ridiculousness is represented in the lyrics and the music video. The song reminds me of Send It On, which aired on Disney Channel around the same time. The episode does a great job of setting the tone for the season. Sonny Get Your Goat has Sonny and Tawny fighting, and they end up in an exchange program going to another country, Glendovia. They think it's because of their fame as actors, but it's because they think Sonny and Tawny are actual cashiers. I feel like this is a way to comment on how people think that the actors are their characters and don't separate them. Gassy Passes is about a sketch where the dog farts, and the cast of So Random is preparing for a movie deal because the sketch is very popular. The dog stops farting because Sonny shows the dog love and eventually dies, leading to them profiting off the dog's death. Chad is directing the funeral for the DVD, Tawny speaks at the funeral mentioning losing the opportunity to star in a movie, and Nico and Grady are selling merchandise. The dog was the breadwinner, and it reminded me a bit of child actors having to be the breadwinner of their family, whether they like it or not. Sonny with a Song follows a big movie star, Trey Brothers, coming to guest star, and Sonny writes a song that she wants him to sing. Tawny steals the song saying she wrote it, and Trey shocks them both by giving neither of them credit, saying he wrote it. He ends up stealing things from Nico, Grady, and Chad as well. The So Randoms get revenge, and Sonny sings the song she wrote. I saw this episode as to be celebrity, you don't necessarily have to be very creative or the best at what you do. It's about opportunity or connections. Hello, Nepo babies. Trey is a selfish, conceited songwriter and justifies stealing because Sonny is a dabbler, an amateur. High School Miserable, an obvious play on High School Musical, has the first appearance of my personal favorite sketch, The Real Princesses of New Jersey. They are complaining about getting to work at 10 a.m., some of the food they have, and write a letter to the studio head. Their demands ends up with the studio firing them and sending them to high school. The cast hates high school, which results in them singing a song about how terrible high school is. They sing about wanting to get back on TV and how high school is nothing like what they see in the movies. The ending has their experience in high school be a dream and decide not to write a letter asking for different conditions. 2 things to mention. Yes, high school isn't fun. But also, young actors feeling miserable on set is understandable. Young actors can work long hours, so commenting on how the conditions aren't worth it for the sacrifices they make to growing up on screen is fair. Is missing out on parts of your childhood worth it for the money and fame? In addition, this episode comments on how high school is different from the movies and not as fun. Even though this episode does exaggerate high school. Just look at the bully giving wedgies. The Legend of Candy Face is another episode focused on settling the feud between Mackenzie Falls and So Random. One thing about Disney Channel is they love a camping episode. Only thing about Gumming with a Chance is it reminds me of the Gum episode in Hannah Montana. Random Acts of Disrespect has an old lady win a contest to hang out with the cast, and they make a sketch making fun of old people. This results in people everywhere boycotting So Random, and they decide to apologize. The old ladies get back at the girls for their sketch by pretending to rob a bank. With any sketch comedy show, they're going to toe the line, and there's going to be some jokes that work and some that don't. Falling for the Falls was the first 2-parter for Sonny with a Chance, and an iconic one that was. I think of it coming close to the impact level of Hannah Montana's He Could Be the One, which I think is probably the most impactful one Disney Channel ever aired. I could talk a lot more about why this 2-parter is so great, but briefly it boils down to one main thing. Disney recognizes how their preteen/teen audience loves a good love story. Disney hadn't really had a love story plotline carry a Disney Channel show like this. A love triangle was bound to make waves. He Could Be the One had a memorable promo, an alternate ending, and a new song. As a result, having 2-parters center on a love story beginning or finally happening was going to excite their young audience. Everyone knew that Chad and Sonny were going to happen at some point. This season didn't have as many hints to this up until this point. So when the promo aired, it was huge.
Sonny and Chad.
I'll kiss you for real when pigs fly.
They're rarely on the same side.
Good.
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 Yet it's hard to deny a certain connection.
This is sweet.
I have my moments.
And now,
When 2 people are this right for each other, there's only one thing to do.
Guess I feel the same way.
Well, then do something about it.
Okay, I will.
Great.
Sonny, will you go out with me?
see what happens next in this stunning Sonny with a Chance 2-part event. Sunday at 8/7 Central. Disney Channel. It's on.
Sonny gets into watching Mackenzie Falls and goes to Chad to ask how the story ends. Chad thinks Sonny has realized her feelings for him instead of asking about the show and asks her on a date. She's confused at first, but accepts. One thing that Chad and Mackenzie have is the lack of separation between the two. He even says, when you're dating me, you're dating Mackenzie. She cancels when she realizes how upset her cast members are with them possibly dating. The last few minutes in the episode are pretty chaotic, as the randoms seem to catch on that something is going on between Sonny and Chad. Chad shows up near the end of the episode, upset about the date being cancelled and laughing when he finds out the entire cast watched Mackenzie Falls at some point. He winks when he leaves Sonny's place as the date is back on. In part 2, the date goes terribly, both are really nervous, and Chad's mishap ends up in the magazines. The cast of So Random now knows they're dating and are embarrassing Chad. Sonny and Chad have a redo date which goes well, becoming official to the cast of So Random's dismay. Having another two-parter is definitely a choice, but I'll allow it. Sonny with a Secret is the 1-year anniversary of Sonny's time on So Random and is going back to Wisconsin. However, she's exposed as a liar for stealing the idea for a sketch, Sicky Vicky. Sicky Vicky is shown to be a real person. Unrelated, we find out that Tawny has been on So Random for 5 years, so since she was 12. The paparazzi were heavily featured in this episode, which worsened the accusations towards Sonny. Tawny and Sonny are bringing a cheese ball to Wisconsin, their car breaks down, and they win a joke off to get it fixed. Tawny is hinted at being the traitor, which is a red herring, and Chad and Sonny break up for the first time. Chad's whole gag, where he uses fortune cookies to make decisions, is really funny. Penelope is discovered to have made this all up because she's in love with Chad. Penelope just felt like a stan, especially when she says,
"With Sonny gone and Tawny going to jail, it'll just be you and me."
Did she even know Chad? All she knew was Mackenzie and was acting like her character in the show. Also, the whole airplane segment where she had that dramatic monologue revealing her intentions felt straight out of a soap opera. Sonny even makes a joke when everything's revealed about how it feels like a bad episode of Mackenzie Falls. The episode has people believe misinformation so easy, like they didn't even really investigate where this information came from that Sonny stole a sketch, but are ready to drag her through the dirt. Sonny calls out the paparazzi in her speech because all they do is spread lies. Life imitates art. The paparazzi has the guts to say they stood by her, which, roll the tape. They were leading the smear campaign. The revisionist history is crazy, and a fun sitcom hinting at this makes it seem plenty relevant. Penelope was probably one of the crazier villains on Disney Channel. She was okay with killing the cast of So Random, all for an actor, Chad, to love her. The problem with Polly is a reference to Barney, specifically Demi's time on Barney. That's So Sunny is a nod to That's So Raven, as Raven-Symoné guest stars as the president of Chad Dylan Cooper's fan club. Another episode that's kind of making fun of stan culture, in my opinion. Chad is using fans from Sunny and him dating, which makes sense. Because when male celebrities, especially conventionally attractive ones, start dating, fans will dislike the girl because they have this fantasy where it should be them, and or the girl isn't good enough. Anyways, Amber wears disguises to get information from the So Random cast. She tells Chad that the randoms are the ones affecting his social media growth. Amber is fired after she tells Chad to break up with Sunny, and she takes it badly, kidnapping Chad and the randoms. Sunny comes to save the day, and she admits that she took it too far. Literally, this is just an episode about a crazy stan. My two Chads messes with continuity, but I loved it. The premise is that Chad is revealed to have a twin, his stunt double, that goes on dates for him. A stunt double that looks identical is hilarious, because which of these memories were actually Chad? Chad explains with his contract he can't do anything that puts him in harm's way, and that includes dates. Sunny is pretty upset by this revelation. They go on a game show, Celebrity Mates, and Chad proves he doesn't know anything about her. Chad gets Sunny back with riding a bike, as he doesn't know how to, taking a risk. This season had a Halloween special structured like an episode of So Random. This episode has Shaquille O'Neal guest star. Disney really likes having NBA players on their show, like Kyrie Irving on Kickin' It, and Dwayne Wade on Austin Alley. The Check It Out Girls sketch has the girls wear wigs opposite their hair color, as that's their Halloween costume to dress as one another. The episode ends with a parody song, which the increased singing in this season is much appreciated. Sunny with a Chance of Meddling has one of the most risky opening sketches, with camp counselors singing camp songs with titles such as Camp Cannibal and Diarrhea Leah. Sunnied Up is a funny pun, as Sunny has a tendency to meddle and does so in this episode with Zora's crush on a boy. This episode seems to hint at how Zora's only a kid, but sometimes isn't treated like one. She is the youngest actor on So Random, and her having a crush was like this rush for her to grow up, instead of taking her time. Sunny with a Kiss has everyone know Sunny and Chad haven't kissed yet. That should never be something that everyone should know, even the gossip magazines. It reminds me of the speculation around the Jonas Brothers and their purity rings. Disney used to be rather conservative with showing kisses on television. In the end, they kiss, and it's a cute moment. The So Random holiday special is great. Audience questions were the monologue, which I really liked. This episode proved that Sicky Vicky was the most frequent recurring character, and other sketches shown in the episode was the roadside sketch along with the Real Princesses of New Jersey. Joe Jonas was a guest star in this episode, and he was a delight. Sunny with a Grin has Chad lose his job on Mackenzie Falls because of his outlandish demands. He's comparing himself to Zac Efron in this episode, which When is he not comparing himself to him? Grant is Grady's brother from university and gets to be the lead in Mackenzie Falls, which just shows how replaceable you are in Hollywood. Grady and Chad work together to get Chad's job back, and this was a fun arc for the two of them. We are on to the last 2 episodes of Sonny with a Chance. First, Sonny with a Choice. The randoms are going to their version of the Teen Choice Awards and comment on how they always lose to Mackenzie Falls. That's like going to the Teen Choice Awards and repeatedly losing to Pretty Little Liars or The Vampire Diaries. Tawny's dress seems to be a reference to the famous swan dress that Bajork wore in 2001. The So Random cast wins Best Tween Show, and the cast is happy because they always lose. Chad can't cope with the loss and orders a recount, finding out So Random lost. Sonny is horrified when she sees all that he went through just to come out as the most successful one or as the winner in the situation. The breakup scene is so good because it showed Chad going back to his old ways. He was back to being selfish, and he wasn't gracious when he lost. He never believed that his girlfriend's show was good enough to win. I don't know, this makes me wonder about celebrity relationships that end because of jealousy, where one partner can't handle the other being more successful than them. The final episode in the show is New Girl, which has Grady have a major-ish storyline. They introduce a love interest for Grady this episode and have a hangout spot that probably would have been a big spot in season 3. Sonny writes a song, and she freezes when she tries to sing it there because Chad appears and she isn't completely over him, which is understandable. Their breakup hurts. She performs it successfully when Chad isn't around. The last scene of the show had Chad and Sonny run into each other on set, hinting that they will find their way back to each other. Season 2 played up some of the satire, commented on various aspects of being a celebrity with navigating life dating another celebrity, the difficulty of growing up in the public eye, not being a regular teenager, and how quickly you can be disliked. The show continues to be humorous through it all. The show, despite only being 47 episodes, left a large legacy, at least to me. It helped me fall in love with sketch comedy shows. So Random wasn't a terrible replacement, but it wasn't the same. I personally loved the I'm Gonna Marry Zach Feldman show sketch and the Socks with Sandals song. Sonny with a Chance was different from what the network had done before, pushing the line on humor in a way you rarely saw in Disney shows, and that makes it one I can never forget.